I'm going to try to keep this really short. I don't want to make a very long video. Also, there's like quite a few verses that I could go through to make these points. So I've just kind of made some bullet points. And then in the first comment underneath like the video, I'm going to list all of the Bible verses if you yourself want to like look at the verses. And also if you don't have a Bible of yourself, just go ahead and take the little like name of the book, the chapter and the verse, and just put it into Google, and you should be able to read it right there online if you don't have a Bible for yourself. So first of all, the Bible talks about treasure on earth and treasure in heaven. So most people are really focused on putting their treasure in one of those bank accounts, either on earth or in heaven. I would argue too that people that are more interested in putting their treasure into their earthly bank account are people that are maybe more fearful of death, because the Bible also says where your treasure is, that's where your heart is. So we definitely don't want to be storing our treasure on earth, since we're all leaving this place pretty soon, one way or another. So let's just go ahead and first we're going to talk about the different characteristics of earthly treasure and heavenly treasure. And then we're going to talk about how to store treasure on earth and then how to store treasure in heaven. And I'm going to wrap it up with a single verse, and it will be done for today. All right. So treasure on earth, some characteristics. Moths and vermin destroy it. Thieves break in and steal it. It wears out. It's subject to decay and bondage, and it fails. Treasure in heaven. Moths and vermin do not destroy it. Thieves do not break in and steal it. It never wears out, subject to freedom and glory, and it never fails. Okay. I would say most of us are already more interested in the heavenly treasure, as we should be. So let's go ahead and find out ways how we store it in those two different locations, okay? So to store your treasure on earth, you hoard your possessions. Signs of greed, especially towards those in need. So even if somebody's like ultra in need and you still don't want to let it go, you might be storing your treasure on earth. Also, giving and receiving. Now, I know you're thinking, but that sounds good. Okay, I'm going to explain. So Jesus tells a parable about when you make a feast, don't just invite your rich friends and family, because next time when they have a feast, they're going to invite you, right? So you make a feast, you bring your friends and family that are rich, and then next time they make a feast, they invite you. So you go eat at their house, and in his words, Jesus's words, you are repaid. You get repaid, right? You cook, you invite them, they cook, they invite you, you give and you take, you're repaid. So there's really no benefit to you in that regard. Sure, we eat, drink, and we give God thanks for a good life. But as far as storing treasure, giving and receiving is kind of like a wash. So just to kind of sum up earthly treasure, it's also temporal and it's finite. Its value is temporal and finite. So heavenly treasure. How can you store your treasure in heaven then? A lot of us only know how to store our treasure on earth, so let's find out how we can store it in heaven. By lending or giving when you have it. So not turning anybody away if you have it, no matter if that's a possession or money or whatnot. Lending or giving when you have it. Being generous, especially towards the needy. Giving without receiving. So giving to those who can never pay you back, knowing they don't have the means, giving to them. By doing this, you're putting your treasure in heaven. And that treasure has an eternal, infinite value. So, it's time for the wrap up. I'm going to close with Jesus' words. He said in Luke chapter 14, verse 14, "And you will be blessed by giving to those who cannot repay you. You will then be repaid at the resurrection of the righteous." So that's it, friends. That's today's talk on treasure.